As you know by now, the Mega Man universe is surprisingly vast, and yet nothing hits me quite like the story of Proto Man, a prototype built with love, but destined for a lonely end. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then continue watching.
But I won't miss this time.
Oh no! He's gonna blast President Lee!
Who is Proto Man, really? When we talk about the history of robotics in the world of Dr. Light and Dr. Wily, we start with Mega Man. But before the Blue Bomber was even a blueprint, there was another. His name was Blues, and the world would eventually come to know him as Proto Man. You'll see that his design is one of the most iconic in all of gaming. Think about it. That striking crimson armor, the gray undersuit, and that flowing yellow scarf that waves in the wind like a cape. He doesn't look like a domestic helper or a lab assistant. Nah, he looks like a drifter. And then there's the visor. While Mega Man has big eyes, Proto Man hides behind a dark lens. Ah, mysterious. Who is he? What is he looking at? He is Dr. Light's first humanoid prototype, the older brother to Mega Man and Roll. But unlike his siblings, Proto Man does not live in a lab. He does not have a home to go back to. No, he isn't a bad guy, but he isn't a traditional hero either. Let's say that he's like a lone wolf. Did I mention that he has a massive shield? Yes, he does. Built as a prototype, with a fatal flaw. You see, Dr. Light's ultimate goal was to create a robot with intelligence and free will. He wanted a son, not a tool. And in that regard, Blues was a success. He was independent and thoughtful, and had a personality that was entirely his own. But there was a catch, because he was the very first of his kind. His technology was still underdeveloped. Dr. Light found a defect in Proto Man's core, and it was not something to be ignored. It was a fatal design flaw. His internal reactor was unstable, and as time went on, his energy supply would fail, and he would get deactivated. When I think about this, it changes the way I look at every single one of his appearances. To put it in simple words, he is literally dying. From the moment he was built, he was never meant to last. To put it in even more simpler words, while Mega Man fights for peace, Proto Man is fighting for one more day of existence. He will never see the future. Damn, that's sad. Why he runs away from Dr. Light? Now, you might be wondering, if Dr. Light is this genius scientist and a kind father figure, why didn't he fix Proto Man? The truth is, he tried. When Light noticed a problem in the core, he was devastated. He approached Proto Man and explained that he needed to perform something on him. But this is where Proto Man's humanity becomes his mistake. Because he had been given free will, he had a sense of identity that Dr. Light had not anticipated. Proto Man was terrified that if Light opened up his systems, his personality would be erased. He feared that the Blues who woke up after the surgery wouldn't be the same Blues who went under. In a moment of desperation, Proto Man ran away. He didn't want to be a fixed machine. He wanted to be himself, even if that self was broken. I find this choice so deeply human. He chose a short life of independence over a long life of potentially being reprogrammed. He left the lab, disappearing into the world, leaving Dr. Light to believe that his greatest creation had vanished. Oh Lord, what a heartbreaking misunderstanding. How Proto Man shaped Mega Man and the other robots. Even though Proto Man was gone, his presence was over everything Dr. Light did next. You could say that the failure of Proto Man is what made the success of Mega Man possible. After the trauma of losing Blues, Dr. Light became obsessed with perfecting the next generation. He took everything he learned and engineered a more stable, reliable system for DLN-001 and DLN-002, and you better know them as Rock and Roll. In a way, Mega Man only exists in his current form because Proto Man was the test run that proved where the limits of the technology were. But it goes deeper than just his siblings. If you've played the games, you've definitely fought the Sniper Joe enemies. Have you ever noticed they look a bit familiar? That's because in the story, the Sniper Joe series was actually based on Proto Man's original frame. When Dr. Light lost the prototype, the designs weren't tossed out. They were adapted. Just think about it. While Proto Man wanders the world alone for the sake of his individuality, there are thousands of faceless, mindless combat robots running around using his body as a template. Wily's rescue and the rebuild. So how did a dying robot survive long enough to become the shield-wielding rival we know today? This is where Dr. Wily comes in. Eventually, Proto Man reached its breaking point. He was found by Wily, collapsed, and on the verge of total shutdown. Now, Wily didn't do this out of the goodness of his heart. He saw an opportunity to get his hands on Dr. Light's secret tech. Of course, he is Dr. Wily after all. So, he rescued Proto Man. But the rebuild came with a heavy price. Wily patched the problem, but he didn't completely fix it, and converted Proto Man into a combat-oriented machine. He gave him the shield to compensate for his lower defensive stats, and the visor to hide his identity. For a time, Proto Man served Wily under the name Breakman. To sum it up, he ran away from Dr. Light to avoid being changed, only to be found by Wily and turned into a weapon. What an irony. Even when he eventually broke free from Wily's control, the damage was done. Friend, foe, or big brother? How he treats Mega Man. The relationship between Proto Man and Mega Man is one of the most complex dynamics in the series. He is something between a rival and a guardian. Think back to Mega Man 3. He appears as Breakman, challenging Mega Man to several duels throughout the game. At first, it seems like he's another boss, but if you look closer, he's actually training him. He's testing Mega Man's limits, making sure his little brother is strong enough to handle the threats Wily is throwing at him. And of course, at the very end, when the castle is collapsing, who is it that pulls Mega Man from the rubble? It's Proto Man. Then you have the confusion of Mega Man 5, where Dr. Wily frames Proto Man by creating a robotic imposter, Dark Man, to kidnap Dr. Light. The real Proto Man has to step in to clear his name. He wants Mega Man to succeed, but he also wants him to be tough. A classic case of tough love from an older brother. Every time they clash, Proto Man is teaching a lesson. But hey, I'm not complaining. Why Proto Man's story is so tragic? When you step back and look at the whole picture, Proto Man's story is sad AF. Every chance he made led him further away from the happiness he could have had. I'll list them out for you. He had a detective core, but he kept it because he valued his soul more than his survival. He wanted exile over repair. He let his father believe he was dead, rather than risk being changed. He accepted Wily's help only to realize he was being used as a weapon, and then he chose to spend the rest of his life as a wanderer. I think Proto Man represents the ultimate theme of the Mega Man franchise, the cost of free will. If robots are just tools, they are safe. They can be repaired, backed up, and restored. But if a robot is alive, like Proto Man, then they have the right to be broken. They have the right to make mistakes. He is the base for every robot that came after him, both mechanically and philosophically. He is the first one to say, I am me, and I would rather die as myself than live as something you designed me to be. Surely, we can learn a thing or two from Proto Man. He has my respect. Proto Man is more than just a cool character with a great theme song. His identity was the most important thing for him, and he was never meant to last. Did you find his story tragic? Let me know in the comments.